Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to my regular Sunday night dinner. And today we are back on the U.S. side of the pond. I've got the chat coming up on my screen, on my tablet, so I can see it easier. So this is one of maybe 2 or 3 left of my 2022 pack case A. This is menu 6 beef taco filling. It was done by Sapaco. Just in case this one doesn't have a coffee, I got a backup plan. I'm going to attempt this peelable seal. Smokey had issues with the older, he had a 2004 pack, so those bags are actually a bit thicker. They're as thick as the old brown bags. Actually, it's off camera. I'm holding it in between my knees. I'm almost got it. There we go. This is when Sapaco was doing some of their, they're not doing their double pack. You can see the accessory pack came out. Everything is just loose in the bag. Got trail mix recovery with pretzels. And it looks like this one has Bill's Brew in it. So my backup plan will be saved for another day. Got a very bent up and folded beverage bag. Which I save. Got the spoon. The heater sleeve, which got bent, but it has 2 items on here. The beef taco filling and the Santa Fe rice and beans. Regular cheese spread. Got the stick beverage orange for the drinking jar. Got the FRH again, which I will not use, but I hold on to these. So we will have 2 things to put in the pot. This is the beef taco filling. And here's the Santa Fe rice and beans. And I believe 2002 may have when the whole grain tortillas got added to the lineup. So these are the whole grain tortillas. And I will be using the ration bag as a trash bag. The spoon I will not use. I save it. It goes into my collection. So I'm going to put both of these aside. In the accessory pack, I'm just going to dump it all out. We do have the Bill's Brew. So I got the creamer, the Bill's Brew, the cinnamon gum, moist towelette, the rear roll, minuscule packet of salt, the Splenda, which I do not use, but I save them because I know someone who does use them, and Enjoy sugar. And I have explained a number of times that Enjoy is from a food service company. They sell through food service companies like Aramark or Cisco, and I have seen their containers in Sam's Club. I don't know if they still do that, since it's been a while since I was last in a Sam's Club, but they do, or they have sold through Sam's Club in the past. So we will get into this Bill's Brew. This is a freeze-dried coffee, so it is in bigger nuggets. Waffles is here. Impulse is here. Thanks for dropping in. Now I'm going to toss the sugar in. Earlier today I watched Steve 1989 do a longer video of all three C-Car menus 2025 pack. And according to him, they were much better than the prototypes that he got a hold of when they were first being developed and tested. So there is the coffee cup all prepped. Now, because this is a sugar-free drink mix, I will not drink it. I will not mix it first. Didn't mean to say I will not drink it. I will. I should do this so I can see it. Unlike the sugar-based orange drinks, this is just barely colored. So it will not take much to mix that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take these two into the kitchen to put into my pot. I'm going to put my cheese spread in my pocket. And then after I mix the coffee, I'm just going to set the tortillas on it to help hold the heat into the coffee. And now I'll take my backup plan and put that away. If this one did not have the coffee, I was going to have this Nescafe 3-in-1 that I got at Hillel Groceries last year. I'll be right back. I'll give this a stir, and I have informed Mike Crusher that I have sent off his trade box. I reused the same box that he did. He wrapped it with paper and stuck his shipping label on that. So that made it easy for me to just go ahead and reuse that box without that paper. I did use a piece of it I put on top of the box before closing it up and taping it. Yeah, RC Gusto has not done any reviews for some time. I haven't seen Kiwi do it on for a while. And some of the guys over in the UK who used to do it, a couple of women got into it, but I haven't seen either one of them. These little stick packets are designed for a 500 ml or 20-ounce bottle. But I'm using my drinking jar, so it'll be a little stronger. Have not seen B Temple do anything for a long time. I miss CT's videos. I'd love to see some of those guys get back into it. Then I'll go ahead and put that there, and then I'll just top it off to about there. Yeah. And of course, Nathan has only been doing stuff on his vehicle channels. Like he has a BMW channel. It's all about BMWs. So he put stuff on that. And I have not seen Art do any reviews on the Foreign MRE channel. Once in a while, he might throw up a little construction stuff on his Sleepy Dog construction channel. But it would be nice to see some others get back into it. Oh, well, check this out. The tear notch for this one goes along the side. So this is the trail mix packet right side up, but the tear notch goes along this way. At least it's not in the middle of it, but all the same, I shake it down. Definitely not a clean tear. I'm going to put all those here. Get the oxygen absorber out of the way. There's almonds, cashews, and the pretzel balls. That's pretty much it for that. Flip the tortillas over. Yep. I'm kneading the cheese spread. But, you know, life happens. Maybe one of these days, some of those who got into it before we did will get back into it. But if they can't, you know, that's how life can roll sometimes. I'm going to put that cheese print back in my pocket so it doesn't firm up quite yet. Just use my own body heat. This one did not come with any hot sauce or seasoning powder. So I decided to go into my fridge and get a packet of salsa del sol. I picked it up at a local restaurant some time back. It's kind of dark, but I think this stuff is going to go good on this beef taco filling. I'll go ahead and take a sip of the orange drink. Yeah, that's why I like it. A little stronger. I'm not the only one who likes their drink mixes a little strong. Some of them you want to stay true to the instructions, but some you just gotta back off the water a bit. I'm going to take a nibble of one of these pretzel nuggets. That's what it looks like on the inside. Still fine. Plenty salty on the outside. Flavor is still decent. Here's one of the almonds. Nicely roasted. It's probably picking up the salt from the cashews. Here's a cashew half. Oh, that's a whole one. It's just a small one. Cashews have a bit of a creamy bite to them, even when they're fresh. So it's not bad. Is there anything else? I think it's just some of these mixes you might get walnuts, but not this time. I think it's just the almonds, the cashews, and the pretzel balls. I think that's it. I see 7 watching. So please feel free to introduce yourself if you're new. Let me know if it's your first time. Now let's get this fiesta going. I'm gonna go back to the kitchen and get the rest of my dinner. I am back. These are the entrees. Got a paper towel to wipe them off with. This lighter one is the Santa Fe rice and beans. Now I'm going to wipe off the taco filling. Now I'm going to go ahead and I wipe off the tortillas because they've been sitting on my coffee. It didn't quite tear all the way across, but oxygen absorber remained behind. I like it when that happens. I don't like chasing those things. And as you can tell, these are darker. They actually taste pretty decent. I've had these before. But I think I'm going to do something a little different than what some might do. I am going to do what Smokey did last night, and I've seen others do it. Instead of going this way, I'm going to cut from the end of the pouch like these retorts used to be done. I'm just going to pour this. I got a little on the other pouch, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut it across this way. That one didn't quite rip so well, but scrape that off of that. I got my cheese spread back out of my pocket. Would have been nice if this would had a jalapeno, but my salsa del sol will take care of that. This will all get mixed together. I usually pick this up when I go into Tasty Tacos, which is across the park from my building. I'm just going to mix all this together. It's completely filled this section of my tray, but some may have gotten onto my recovery trail mix, but I'm okay with that. Well, it only got on one piece. This is actually pretty good doing it like this. It's like an open-faced burrito or an elongated tostada. In case you're wondering about the funky faded colors on my hand, this past Wednesday was Eid al-Adha for Muslims, and I used up the rest of the henna that I got near the end of Ramadan, and I used part of it, and I tried a different design. And when you're trying to do it with your weaker hand, I'm right-handed, so trying to do it with my left hand, yeah, it can end up being a hot mess. But I don't care. Someone gave me the henna and I just wanted to use it and enjoy it. So because the tortillas have pretty much softened up, I can pick up a piece of it along with the filling. Prepper for the Ages is here. Thanks for dropping in. This is 2022 pack, menu 6. And I chose to have a little fun with it by making what you could call an open face taco, kind of like an open face sandwich. I combined the beef taco filling, which has the beef and the corn and seasonings, along with Santa Fe style rice and beans, which on its own is really good. But when you put the two together and you add a little cheese and a little hot sauce, it's pretty good. The cheese is pretty much melted all the way into this mix. Have a drink of my Bill's Brew. Unfortunately, I don't have any Mexican instant coffee in single serve packets, and I don't want to bust open a jar of it just for this. I have a jar of instant coffee Bustelo. But that is a part of my prep, so for my instant coffee, I like the 3-in-1, so I usually get those, but I get other straight instant coffees as well. I do have those in my stash. I think I got maybe 1 or 2 Coffee Bustelo packets. I'm kind of curious why an orange drink was put in here. I don't know if it was just random that this particular drink mix was put in there, or if it was on the packing instructions to put that in. I have no idea. Could have had the jalapeno cashews in here to go along with this, but there's pretzel nuggets might be a little interesting mix, so I'll put one in there and see how that goes. Gives it a little crunch, maybe takes a micron off the spice level. Spicy True in the Rolls is landed. Thanks for dropping in. I'm not familiar with that Japanese character. I have no idea what that means. I've never messed with Japanese. I've seen it on items. Actually, that's not bad. putting these pretzel nuggets in there. Yeah, if you do what Smokey did with the walking taco, I think he had these same items. The beef taco filling, and I can't remember if it was Santa Fe rice and beans or it was another one from, I know he took from 2 different menus to make that, plus he used the Doritos. But if you did the chips, that could be fun. This will be a messy meal, but I don't care. Again, these are the whole grain tortillas. They're dark like the whole grain snack breads, but much better tasting. I'm going to put a few more of these pretzel balls in here. There's a half of one. I would have liked the lemon lime drink to go with this, but that would have been my personal preference. I'm glad it didn't have that newer shake that seems to be in a lot of the newer menus. I find that stuff personally annoying. But if there is someone who does like them, I will gladly give them up. Maybe as a trade for a little something else, or someone wants to buy them off of me. I'm not sure how many you have. I have a few more US MREs to open up, so I might get more, I don't know. The other shakes, like the Canadian, like the vanilla, those, I don't mind those. They're not bad. But the newest ones that they've been putting in, the US rations, sorry, this tray likes to slide. I'm not a fan of them, but You know, if I have to, I'll drink them. I'm not into making protein shakes from protein powders. I have a few packets that I've acquired, but I'm not really into those. But yeah, they do serve their purpose. There are a few of them that I would be willing to sample if I didn't have to buy a huge container of it. But I can't wait to see Mike's video when he gets my box. You know, you get something from Mike Pressure, you know that he knows how to pack a box. I included a few Iowa goodies that I thought he might enjoy. I had to go to 2 different stores to find the ones that I wanted, that I wouldn't have to worry about sending through the mail. But I found some. I could not find one. There's one I could not find, but that's okay. Maybe another time I'll get a hold of that one. And if I ever do another trade, or I just want to send it, yeah, I'll do that. I was hoping to see Elsie pop in. Maybe she will later. But that box that I sent back to Mike, it's a good thing I have that new grocery hauler, because I used it to haul it to one of the local stores that does Saturday mail service, like sending mail. You know, they'll weigh the packages. If you have a certified or registered item, that you can get those services done there. I had an additional package to send to someone else, so I did that. I let that person know their package is on the way. So I got those both done at one place, and then I did a little shopping before I left. Needed to pick up a few items, put them in the hauler, and come back home. So be looking out for Mike Kreischer's mail call video whenever he can get around to it. I got all of the items that he had sent me put in their places. So they'll be filtering into my streams, or I may just do video on it, on some of them. Survival Empire in the house. Thanks for dropping in. That's okay. To me, you're late if you're catching the replay. But I'll go ahead and tell you what I did. These are the whole grain tortillas. Would have been nice to have the chipotle ones. So they're a bit darker than the white ones. Now the white ones are about the color of the inside of these pretzel nuggets. And I'm just going to drop that one in there. I put the beef taco filling down on the tortillas. And then I put the Santa Fe rice and beans on that. I squeezed all the cheese spread on that. And then I brought out a packet of Salsa del Sol taco sauce. And put that all on top. And then mix that together, and I've been tossing in some of these pretzel nuggets from my recovery trail mix, and I just put that one on that bite. This is a 2022 pack, menu 6, done by Warnick. And I might have obliterated the date code. Oh no, it's on the bottom. Is right. It's kind of lightly stamped in. But the date code on this one is 2230, so the 230th day of 2022 is when this bag was packed. I only have a few of these 22 pack cases left, and have a 2019 cheese tortellini. Well, I love the beef goulash. If it's a U.S. MRE beef goulash, I do enjoy it. Might be able to just slide this. Well, maybe not. I'm just going to wrap the tortilla. But I do enjoy the beef goulash. I initially had 2 of those. I reviewed one. And I was attempting to do a comparison between it and a Polish goulash because I've had that one before. I really do enjoy that one. But when I opened that Polish ration, the main was bigos, which is hunter's stew, and a little can, about the size of those cans you get in French rations, like the dates I had in the French ration, or that salmon pate, about the size of that can, maybe a tad bigger, but it had a label that said English goulash, but what it was a luncheon loaf, kind of like a beef spam. So that was not a good comparison to the beef goulash, which I wanted to do. But since I have a second beef goulash MRE, I'm waiting for another foreign goulash so I can do that again. And maybe if you kick it up a notch, put a little spice in it, that might help it. You just might have to play with flavors. I think I'm going to have a few more of these bits by themselves. Well, Survival Empire, that'd be much appreciated. I had one Latvian ration before, but it was a chicken menu. And I enjoyed that one. But it'll be nice to do a comparison between the American goulash and Latvian. I think that will be a treat. I would be willing to trade something for it. Yeah, there's probably a French name for a dish like that. I think there may be similar Polish dishes as well, but the Polish ration goulash is one I do enjoy. The same with what my school had back in the 80s. In fact, we had it at I think we had it at the school I attended in Nebraska in the 70s. But then when I came back to Iowa, the same school I attended before, we state hopped, or basically river hopped, because we hopped the Missouri River to go into Nebraska and then to come back to Iowa. But we had the goulash with noodles, and that's what I've known as goulash. But having these rations, I get to see different versions. Oh, that is awful generous of you. I do appreciate it. Now, I've had other people just say they want to send me stuff, they don't want anything for it. And that 24-pack case B from Waffles was an absolute surprise. I had no idea. That was a very enjoyable surprise. I think I may have one or two of those left. I would have to check my stash. Yeah, this one is a 2002, the 230th day of 2002, because it is in this bag. Now, Paul's Gear Review opened up a 23-pack case. I think it was a case B, but he had a mix of bags like this and the newer style bags like what you get in 24 and 25. He has the other companion case that was packed at 23, but he hasn't, at the time of that video that I watched about a week ago or so, that he opened that one case and it had both versions. So I'm guessing that they must have had a few of the older bags left and they just wanted to use them up. Did it have the actual printed bag on the inner bag was printed? If that was, that would be really strange. Yeah. Wow, that is wild. That is absolutely crazy. That would be like opening up a newer bag Canadian IMP I'm finding the main and the dessert in boxes like they used to be before those boxes got nixed. Now that sounds like something they would probably do. I wouldn't be surprised. They're the ones who started the double bagging in the first place. And then Sopaco got in on that action. And notice this one did not have any kind of a dessert. I find that odd. Nothing sweet, no raisins or cranberries, no first strike bar, no dessert bar, no cookie, and nothing like that. I find that odd with this menu. Yeah, if it's packed in such a way where you can't see the outline or the shininess of the tuna pouch, or if it's a green camo one, I think the one I had, it actually had an FRH in there with the tuna pouch, which I thought was really weird. I would have to go back to that video to find out. I think that was either late 2024 or early 25. But there has been some weird packaging going on. Yeah, that's weird too when people open up a case and one menu is missing and you get two of another. That's happened to Smokey. It's happened to a few others. I have not had that happen to me because I've only had 2 complete cases so far. The one that Waffle sent me, that 24 case B, and the 22 case A that I bought myself. But having all these weird anomalies, it makes for some interesting video fodder, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna miss a jalapeno beef patty. I would love to see that one revised, but with a hamburger bun. but preferably not quite as sweet as a Canadian. I find that one a bit sweet, but I still like them. Tim Riley in the house. My Iowa brother. I had a little fun with this 22 pack menu 6. These are the whole grain tortillas, a little darker than the white ones, the plain tortillas. They taste better. So I laid those down. I put the beef taco filling on top of that. Then I put the Santa Fe rice and beans on top of that. I squeezed the cheese spread on top of that, and then I added from my kitchen a packet of Salsa del Sol taco sauce. And then I mixed all that up, and occasionally I would throw a pretzel nugget that happened to be two stuck together. I would pop one of those in. Just to add a little crunch. Yeah, the first strikes are also going to be missed. I mentioned it earlier, but I watched Steve 1989 do a video on all three of the only three menus in the C cars, and he got 2025 packs, so they are fairly new. And according to his comparison between the prototypes that he had gotten a hold of, the current production C cars are much better. The food isn't so like space food. It's stuff that you would find in a first strike, but maybe slightly tweaked. Not as much in them, so they're lighter weight, but heavy on the proteins and fats. Maybe one drink and you get the chocolate or mocha energy gels. But there's some new items in those C cars that I'm very interested in trying. No bagel. One of them has the mini loaf that's supposed to be sliced, but when he tried to open it up, it wasn't sliced all the way through. And he only managed to peel a little bit of it off. His intention was to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but sometimes those mini loaf breads are not cut far enough. The Canadian hamburger bun is cut a whole lot farther than that. So he just put the peanut butter and jelly on top of it. One of the other ones had regular crackers, but he said they're a little bit slight upgrade over the standard MRE crackers. His didn't break. But yeah, I would love to see more than just 3 menus. If you buy a case of them, you get 10 C-cars. The FSRs, you only get 9 in a case. So they're smaller, and they're compacted. But I am going to get those C-cars. I'm obviously not wanting to buy a whole case, but if I can get at least one of each menu, I'll be fine with that. He did say the military energy gum is changed. They took out the aspartame and put sucralose and sugar in it. So I'm happy about that. But all 3 of his had the Arctic mint flavor. I would definitely recommend checking his video out to see what the 2025 C-cars are like. But you get 1 retort main and 1 beef stick. And he said it's a newer version, so it's better quality. One has a spaghetti in a meat sauce. Another one has the chicken burrito bowl, and then the other one is lemon pepper tuna. And you get a spoon in that one. The other 2, it's intended you eat it or suck it right out of the pouch like you would the Zapple sauce or one of the puddings. But he divided them up into 2 meals instead of trying to make 3 out of them, because there are not very many components in those C-cars, unlike the First Strikes. Because apparently, according to his research, they wanted to cut the carbs, but up the fat and protein. So they cut out the drinks. You only get 1 drink mix and no coffee. If you want the caffeine, you have to chew that military energy gum. Maybe in the future, the company that does those will come up with more menus. I really hope that's in the works, because if a soldier is on a longer duration combat mission and all he or she has is those CCARs with only 3 menus, you're gonna want something different. You won't be able to trade with any of your cohorts, because they'll all have the same thing. Yeah, I get that same impression. That he liked the 2025 version over the prototypes. They had some really weird items in there that are more like experimental space food. The new toffee dessert bar that was in one of them was really grabbing my attention. I would like to get some first strikes while they're out in circulation, just to have a few. In my personal stash. I might want them for travel, or if I'm going to an event and I need to supply my own food, but don't want to bother with trying to heat something up. Then those would come in handy. Yeah, theoretical is a operative word here. You never know what they could end up facing. But from the reviews of the prototypes I've seen, I thought, oh boy, anyone who's issued those out in the field are probably not going to be happy with them. But now that I have seen the 25-pack versions opened up, I definitely want to get some. Looks like some of my Mix didn't quite dissolve. Give it another mix with the fork end of my spork. Wow, that 22 pack case I got was from Amazon. And some of those might still be available. But I'm on the hunt for something different, and I definitely got different from Mike Kresher. At the end of next month, I will be at the Des Moines Arts Festival with the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow Committee. We have been accepted into the nonprofit section, so we will be doing powwow outreach, kids crafts. There'll be some Native American storytelling, and we will promote the powwow that will take place the second weekend of September at Jester Park. We moved it from the third weekend because of some other conflicts. So I don't know what time I will get done with that on Sunday. It'll depend on when I can get out of there to catch the last bus to go home. And also on the 14th of June, all of our bus routes are changing, so the new schedules will kick in. And on Sundays, they will run later than they do now. So that means I could stay out a little bit later on Sundays than I have been able to before, unless I get a ride. So I will have to figure out if I will be needed to stay for the whole time of it on Sunday. I'm not sure what time the festival itself will stop on Sunday, but we'll need our pack up time. So that may affect my stream time the last Sunday in June. But once I find all that out, then I'll toss a post up to let everybody know what's going on. And I still have not been able to connect with my mom because she was still sick last Sunday, and I don't know how her doctor visit went on Tuesday. I haven't talked to any of my sisters because I don't know which one of them took her to her appointment. But I'm still sitting on her Mother's Day gift and my great niece's birthday gift, which I was hoping to give her at the same time we were celebrating Mother's Day, but that just didn't happen. Yeah, I saw First Strikes on Amazon as well. I think they have cases. I would have to look. But I'll dig into that another time. No, I haven't seen him, or he hasn't put anything up on his readiness reviews. So I don't know if life happened and that interfered with his fun, or if he got a strike or something, or what. I have no idea. Yeah, so both of his channels have been MIA for a bit. And previous chats, I've seen people ask about Gun Dog, but he hasn't put up anything for a while. And I'd love to see Sticky Finger 745 get back into it. I haven't seen anything from him for a while. Several years, in fact. He's the one I won my first MRE from when he did a giveaway. And I decided I'm going to do it like the others. I'm going to open it up and eat it on camera. Yeah, that's a bit concerning when some of our ration buddies go MIA for whatever reason. I hope nothing bad happened to any of them. Yeah, Apple stuff, or Apple Stump. He shortened his channel name. I think he put up a video maybe early last year or late 24, but he used to do rations. He was up in Canada, I think. I know B Temple's up in Canada. I haven't seen anything from him for a while. Now maybe Apple Stump isn't up in Canada, but he used to do ration reviews along with other stuff. I think he shortened his channel name to just Apple Stump. He used to have bushcraft stuff and things as part of his channel name, but he cut that. Yeah, some other channels that I get notifications from, they're names that I'm not familiar with, so I don't know who's been changing their channel names. Or if I heard from someone else saying that YouTube is subscribing people to channels they don't know anything about or had not intended to subscribe to, that they're not even aware of, then they find out they're subscribed to these channels and they had no idea about that. So I don't know if that's what's going on. It's just something that I heard another YouTuber talk about. But I guess for those who've dropped off the radar, I guess it's up to the rest of us to keep it going. I figured since I did a French ration last 2 weeks, I would do an American one. Pretty soon I'll probably get into that corned beef hash that I got from Art and Nina of the foreign MRE, and it still has a foreign MRE sticker on it. I really hope that is a good one. That's a menu I would love to see come back. So I could possibly either get into that one. I got the German EPA. That's the box type, it's not the bag. I would love to get a hold of one of those that are in the bag that is about the same color as this, and it has a German flag on it. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. I did catch her live, but I had another one going while I was setting up for this. Waffles put up a short on a couple of rations that he got from Matt. So he will rip into those in the future. I've done a couple of deals with Matt, or I just bought stuff off of him. Now I've done this trade with Mike Kreischer. I no longer have a duplicate of one of the items that I got from a guy in a ration group on Facebook. I got some rations from. And I was going to do another deal with him, but I think I'm going to hold off on that until maybe the end of June. I want to go through some of what I have first before I add to my ration boxes. But I also have that Ukrainian ration that was actually packed in Poland with stuff from Homipsa. Some pronounce it Jomipsa, but I pronounce it in proper Spanish because Homipsa is in Spain. And may have South African items in there. Well, kind of a mix. But I do have that I can get into. It's kind of like a commercially produced ration mashup, so to speak. I think he has, like, I got one like the one that Mike Pressure sent me, a different menu. I got one of those. And then he sent me the RCIR that I reviewed. But if he is wanting to unload some, I think he needed to get money for something else, but or he had duplicates. But if you're friends with him on Facebook, you could hit him up that way. I miss the days when YouTube had its own messaging system right in YouTube itself, but several years ago they cut that. You could message other YouTubers directly without having to go through another app like Facebook, Instagram, or X, or email. But he has some foreign ones. He probably has U.S. rations. He might have some civilian ones. But Matt Hake is... Yeah, you look for that name on Facebook. And or if you go to his YouTube, and you look up his email, you could send him an email. But there are ration groups on Facebook that some of the people that are in there are kind of sketchy, but others they're as much into it like we are, and sometimes they have extras they sell, or they can. It's mostly U.S. rations, but sometimes there are foreign ones. But there are people in these groups from all over the world, so some of them may only ship within inside Europe. Some may ship to the U.S., but then you're running the risk of having a tangle with those thieves. Yeah, I don't know what is up with Sean, if he still has his collection. What kind of stuff is he dealing with? I think that's why Smokey's kind of wanting to start up something like that with one of the buildings that he bought. He wants to turn it into a museum/studio. Which will provide him a whole lot bigger space than what he has now for doing his reviews. Yeah, he definitely wanted to get it out of his basement because he wanted better storage conditions and more space. Plus, he moved out of that house that he was living in. So maybe he was able to find a better place. And maybe he is just too busy with his current job. I really hope that he does come back on YouTube and at least give an update on what's going on. Yeah, haven't even seen him do just a driving video from inside his truck. I would be curious to know how he's doing with his cross-border runs. You know, because all the tariff stuff going on. Does that complicate his deliveries when he's going back and forth across the border, or is he only staying inside Canada? So he's not getting his Casey's pizza fix. Yeah, he might drop into a chat, but I haven't seen him in a chat for quite a while. Yeah. Who knows, maybe he had to do what some others does. Michael Green over in England in one of his last videos before he started doing a few videos on him using one of those weight loss / diabetes poker things, that he had to quit doing rations for health reasons. But I haven't seen him on for quite some time either, so I have no idea how he's doing. But he was doing a few videos on his experience with that. With that drug that he's using. I don't want to say which one it is. I don't know if that would get me a warning, so I'll just leave that word alone. It's not like I would be saying an obscenity, but you know, I just want to leave that word alone. But yeah, he was using that. Other YouTubers do mention it, but I just choose not to. But yeah, he had to quit doing it. I was hoping to get one of his mugs, or at least one of his coasters, but yeah, he had mugs with his channel logo. He had a couple of coasters made with his channel logo that he would put his mugs on when he would do his reviews. And of course, Paulie over in England, he died several years ago. He had to quit before that because he was going blind and was having other health issues, so he left this world several years ago. After he stopped doing rations, he was doing model train assembly, and he was putting together K-ration package replicas and actually putting items in there. He would take a replica cigarette box and get some cigarettes, cut them down to length, and put them in that box. He was not a smoker, but that's what he did. he would get crackers or biscuits that would be the size of one of the little boxes or replica wrappers that he got a hold of, and he was putting together replica K rations before he had to stop doing that. Yeah, I miss their stuff. Yeah, I ordered something from another company that was started up that was supposed to be non-profit. I never did get the item I ordered, and I never did get a response back. So I have no idea what happened with that. I felt like I got burned on that one. I still get emails from a company I will no longer do business with, but I'm seeing other ads like MRE's World. All MRE's is still in business, but I don't think they're as big as they used to be. I haven't bought anything from them for a while. But I might try one of these upstarts that I've been seeing ads for. Yeah, I actually have some Minotaur stuff. I had put together a box I was going to send to someone, but I was never able to get that done. And that box is still taped up with no address, but it is currently buried in this place under other stuff. I still have not gotten my apartment straightened back out after it got flooded back in 24. Yeah, I've seen them on Facebook. But I don't know how it is with ordering. I mean, I've only ordered one U.S. ration from a foreign seller, and it got to me without any issue. But I'm not sure if that was a one-off or if I would have any issues with U.S. rations being raided by those thieves who want to have a free lunch on us, or if they would leave it alone. Well, I just might have to give them a look. But I think that's going to wait for later in the year, because at the last week in July is when my family goes to Lake Icaria. So I'm going to be focusing on getting what I want together to take with me, because I share some of the, I provide some of the food, mostly snacks, but I would bring like halal beef sausage or halal beef hot dogs and beef bacon. I always take beef bacon. But I bring some other snacks. So I will be pretty much focusing on that. And of course, the last weekend in June, as I mentioned, I will be at the Des Moines Art Festival. So after Friday prayer, I will not go home. I will haul Dupa straight to the Western Gateway Park. But our committee will have a meeting before that event, so we are all up to speed on what's going on, where our setup will be, you know, the run times for all 3 days. And what we will do for food, if I will have to provide, if we will have to provide our own, or if we will get something from food vendors, or how that will work. Uh, it's, I don't remember what the menus were, but they're in the white boxes. It was their version of the Arctic field ration. But there's so much other stuff in that box. But right now, I just cannot get to it. I have some, I've thrown in some things from Iowa in there. But I just can't remember what all I put in that box. But if I can get to it, the way they piled stuff back in here after the workers got the all clear to bring everything back in and get it off my deck, because I was spending so much time at the mosque, I really could not oversee how they were placing things. So I just had no clue where and how they did things, or if some things were just thrown in the dumpster without my knowledge or permission. But maybe one of these years I'll be able to get at it. Of course, what I would love to do is have an off-site location where I can get some of my food buckets moved over to, so I can free up space in my apartment so it doesn't look like a dumpster in itself. That's what I would like to do, but when you don't drive, you can't easily access places like that. And I don't know how much a storage locker would cost depending on location and whether it's climate controlled or not. I would prefer climate controlled, but I would prefer to have a private place if someone has an offsite property that I will be allowed to store some of my stuff, that in an SHTF situation I could have someone take me over there, get at that stuff, and then do what I need to do. Yeah, some of them had freeze-dried ham. In fact, you can get freeze-dried ham from a company called Freeze Dry Wholesalers. All of their stuff comes in blue Mylar bags, and it has a clear window so you can see what the food actually looks like in the bag before you open it. You can look on their website. They are an official contractor for the U.S. Navy, but they sell their overproduction to the public. So you can just go onto their site and see what their stock has. It changes constantly depending on how much over their contract they had produced, or if they're contracted to produce a certain amount of an item, but then less than that amount was ordered, so then they probably sell that to the public. But that food goes, because of its weight being lightweight, it's a lot easier to load up the ships and the subs with that. Granted, you have to have water to reconstitute it, but the weight of it is probably what the Navy is after when they got freeze-dried wholesalers to do a lot of their bulk food. Yeah, I mean, that box, it had address labels ready to have a recipient address on it. I had put my, had some fragile stickers that I put on it. I taped the living crap out of it. Of course, the renter's insurance didn't give me squat because I couldn't provide receipts for things that I did not pay for. Say, if I wanted to claim a coat that was given to me, or that I have one that was hanging on the side of a dumpster, so I brought that in. I was going to save it and see if it would be good for a homeless person for winter, but happened to fit me, so I kept it because that was of no cost to me. I couldn't provide a receipt for it. And I have another coat that was given to me by one of my sisters. In fact, I have two. Another sister gave me a different coat, but I couldn't claim them because I don't have receipts for them. And for some of those items, I had for well over 10 years. Yeah, they wanted receipts no matter what, if it was something you paid for, or if it was something that was for free, or roadside find, or if it was something you made. Say, if I wanted to claim either the two tables that I made in shop class, they wanted receipts for those. And when I made those back in the 80s. There's no way I could get receipts for that, especially if that school closed up several years ago, before that happened. They wouldn't even reimburse me for the 2 nights I got in a hotel room. Even though I had the receipt for that and I used no extra services from the hotel, that would have been billed to my room. Because apparently that was not even up to the level of the deductible. And even though I'd sent pictures to prove that, these are here in my apartment, apparently that was not enough proof of ownership because I don't have receipts. Yeah, especially from things that old. My Opus power station, I won it. I have no receipt for that because it was a prize. Just another way they want to ding you. And my mom's health insurance, her Medicare supplement, she's got a different setup than I do. They doubled her premium. And you know what that does to the Social Security cost of living adjustments, which is basically bus fare. That was a big net loss for her because it would mean she would either have to drop it or drop her phone service, which she does not need to do because she does use her phone. In fact, she could use the Wi-Fi on it or the Bluetooth on it because her hearing aids connect to her phone by Bluetooth. But she has to have it for emergency because she has no landline in her apartment. She gets Wi-Fi in her building, so she doesn't have to pay for that. But she doesn't get EBT or SNAP because when she was getting it, they kept knocking her benefit amount till it was like last time she was receiving it, it was like $10 a month. And the SNAP doesn't take certain expenses as qualifying expenses to determine how much you get on your EBT card every month. Yeah, that's all my mom has. My parents did not have any investments, even with when they worked for a property management company before they retired in '06. The only investment that they really had was in one property that they had managed. A tenant left behind some gold and silver collectible coins. They never came back for them, so my parents kept them. Then after my dad died, my mom sold those coins in order to pay for some of his final expenses. So that was the only thing close to an investment that they had. Had she been able to hold on to those till now, when gold and silver have really got jacked up, yeah, she could have made some money, but then she could have lost on a benefit other than her Social Security and the Medicare. But at least she had them when she needed them. But she lives in a senior complex where a portion of the apartments are income based, where your income determines your rent. But it's far from a bus route, so I don't go there by myself. And current bus route that will end at the end of, its final day will be the first half of June. It only runs every 2 hours over on that particular area, and not at night, not on weekends. So the only time I go over there is when I'm getting a ride from one of my siblings or my niece or my brother or one of my nephews. That's the only way I can get over there. Yeah, my two oldest sisters are in IPERS because they had government jobs. My oldest sister is still working for the Des Moines School District. My second oldest sister took the buyout from TSA instead of just getting terminated on the spot with no severance. Whereas the buyout, she got several months of pay, but didn't have to work at all. She did have to turn in her uniforms. She gave her security clearances. She got the government health insurance until the payments quit. And she hasn't looked for it, so I don't know if she has decided to take early retirement. She may have. And then my third sister worked for a daycare until she had to have 2 ankle surgeries. The first one didn't quite work, and then she had to have it redone. So she just decided to officially resign instead of trying to go back to work for the daycare center. Because that's physical work in itself, especially when you have babies, because that's where she worked, was in one of the baby rooms. So she has gone on full disability. So she pretty much has what I got, just she's more recently started on that. But then once you get to age 65, that Social Security disability just gets rolled over into straight up Social Security as if you had retired from a job. And you don't have to do the yearly or biannual recertifications and stuff like that. You don't have to go through all that red tape. But that's a few years away for that for both of us. And my brother works for Home Depot here in town, one of them. Yeah. As long as you just have to hope that you can continue to do that. It would be nice to still be able to work, but sometimes that just isn't going to happen, and it's just one of those life tests you got to deal with. But it's how you respond to those life tests that matters. Yeah. It would be nice to do nothing but our favorite hobby all the time, but that's not going to happen. I would love to do more camping, but because I can't get out of the city by myself, that's easier said than done. And I will not fish the river in the downtown area. There's too much crap, too much junk in the downtown section of the Des Moines River, so I just don't even bother. I'll wait till I get to go out of here when I go to Lake Icaria, or if I get invited by someone else to go fish somewhere. I know I don't have to worry about pulling up a piece of a vehicle or a piece of a person. But I volunteer at my mosque, so that keeps me out of trouble half the time. And because I also am with the White Eagle Powwow Committee, that gives me something else to do. I still attend the Transit Rider Advisory Committee meetings, even though I dropped off of that last December. Because of this dark transition, I want to keep updated on what's going on so I can keep my fellow bus riders informed. And I can pass feedback I get from other bus riders onto that committee, and then they in turn pass it on to the DART management and the commission. So that's kind of how that works. Yeah, that was no doubt that would have been a real bugger. No, absolutely not. That could get you into more trouble if that would have went on. I've seen people in the healthcare get to be in that bad a shape, and it is not good. Yeah, I've known people who have gone through cancer and really struggled with it. In fact, one of them, she still goes in for treatments now and then. So she has not gone fully into remission, but she's been battling this for quite a few years. So some days are good for her, some days are not. In fact, the Ramadan of 25, there was a guy who lived in one of the senior and disabled apartment buildings here in town. He really couldn't get out much, but there would be one of the other guys from the mosque who would have some food packed up for him and then go take it to him. He just had enough energy to go out in front of the front door to meet the guy bringing him the food. And sometimes I rode with him because he would bring me home after the late night prayer. And so he would get his food delivered by a couple of carryouts worth, you know, the big foam carrots that you get from a restaurant about that big. Yeah, maybe a couple of those would be packed up for him. He would get one of those every night. Because he just couldn't go out and get food for himself. He didn't always have someone to go out and get food for him, so we did that for him. I had an uncle on my dad's side who got really skinny after a stroke, and when he went into a nursing home, he really did not get very good care on a few occasions we visited. We were the ones who cleaned him up because the staff never bothered. We would bathe him, we would change his sheets on his bed, we'd put clean clothes on him. Yeah, we did that. Because the staff just couldn't be bothered. And that was back in the 80s. Well, when I was still working as a home health aide, being that I ride the bus everywhere I go, I'd seen Muslims going around, just living their lives just like the rest of us. Pardon that noise, that's a pumpkin clawing on a box. She's got certain boxes she would like to claw on. But anyway, so I was thinking to myself, if I was assigned a Muslim client, how could I provide their care in a way that respects their religion? So I decided to start digging. So I was just learning things. I was looking up stuff on the internet. I was watching YouTube videos. There's a woman in Texas who used to make hijabs or head coverings and sell them on eBay until she got into some health issues and had to stop doing that. But I had actually bought some of those from her eBay site, thinking that, if I went to a Muslim client, I could wear that, and I would cover my arms. No, that's not for Kitty's pumpkin. She was sniffing at my ration bag. But then, so I just kept all that to myself. And I told one of my sisters that I was kind of digging for professional curiosities, as I like to call it. But then I got a jury summons from Polk County, but the paper was poorly printed, and when I tried to call the phone number, it was garbled. I couldn't understand it, so I told my boss that I got this jury summons, but I can't make heads or tails out of it. Their printer must have ran out of ink, so I'm going to the courthouse to see if I'm going to be on a jury or not. I ended up not being on that jury because my number was way outside of the pool that they wanted. I was like 400 something, and they only wanted about 200 to start with. So then they tell me, it's like I got the feeling from them, like one day I'm dependable, next day I'm not dependable. So I thought, okay, if you're going to play that way, I don't need this hassle. But then I just I liked what I was learning about Islam, and I thought, I think this is what I need to be doing. So I made the decision to convert. Oh, were your ears itching on the way home, Mike? Been talking about you a little bit. If I move this over, you might be able to see Pumpkin down there when she walks under my chair. You just saw her go away. Pumpkin. Pumpkin. Yeah, I'm trying to get her to show herself, but she keeps moving back and forth. Yeah, Mike, your package should be there sometime next week. Unless it somehow gets caught up in the FIFA World Cup and ends up in some goal in Mexico or Canada. But you made it easy for me to reuse that box. So I took advantage of it. I'm guessing that was intended. But as I promised, there are some Iowa goodies in there that I think you might enjoy. So you're getting that behemoth tan bag, the one that did not have the tape on it. I kept the one that had the tape put on it, and I cut that one open and did a spread of that on Facebook in one of the Ration groups I'm in. I'm in several, but I'm only active really in one now, the one I post in a lot. But I did a picture spread of that. But you get the one that was not taped up, no damage to the bag. The one that I kept, apparently it was just a little hole. It's not like anything gouged it really big and destroyed anything, but I wanted to open it up just to make sure that nothing was damaged. So I figured I'll just do a spread on Facebook. And I opened it up on my mail call video anyway. So you got the one that had not been taped up or altered in any way. But it's a behemoth. But I think you'll enjoy all the other goodies I put in there. Hopefully I'm as efficient as packing a box as you are. I'm still looking for things, trying to decide what I'm going to put in my prize backpack for when I do a 1,500 giveaway. I get a little closer and then I get a few clawed back, so I don't know what the deal with that is. But I will be patient and wait for that time to come. And I'm not just gonna do the giveaway right when I hit 1,500. I'm gonna wait just to make sure that it sticks. And if it takes till the end of the year, so be it. But I got a few things set aside already. One thing I would like to include, I need to find a box that is the right dimension to hold that, because that is kind of, it's not a little thing, I'll just put it that way. Well, thanks for dropping in, Mike. So I'll be waiting for that mail call video. I'm probably going to go ahead and kick off here myself anyway, since I pretty much I ate everything that I planned on eating. Obviously, I'm just not going to knock back the salt or the Splenda. And I'm not as much of a gum chewer as I used to, but I hold on to these. They will go into my emergency stash. But you got a little glimpse of pumpkin there towards the end. But this is my last one for, obviously, for May of 2026. I will think about what I'm going to do for next week. Will I do a single meal or will I do a 24-hour ration? Since I now have 3 of those again. But the newest one will wait for later on, when I can devote like 3 weeks to it. That's probably how I'm going to do that, since it was a more recent arrival. But I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight for my little spin on beef taco filling from 2022. I hope to see you all next month. Anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.